Oh, yeah.
So I don't have no room.
All right.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. So I will reintroduce myself. My name is Kristal Bartley, and I was once known as Kristal Robinson in another life. So I've been told that I should share my story. I work for a nonprofit where I do a lot of outreach, and I get the opportunity to talk about a lot of other things, a lot of programs, a lot of services, ways I can help. I can be very passionate about those things. And I feel very nervous thinking about talking about myself. So, let's just start from the beginning. My father and mother, Georgia Lane Robinson, Charles Robinson, Army veteran, a Vietnam veteran, were stationed all over this country. He served in Vietnam. They were also in Germany, where my first brother was born. His last duty station was here as a recruiter. And I asked my mother, why am I from Pittsburgh and not from Texas or somewhere with palm trees? And she said, oh, because honey, you get all the seasons here. So, this is where I've grown up. Out of 5 children that my mother and father birthed and raised and reared, I am the 5th and the only girl. They kept trying until they had Kristal. They had my name picked out from the beginning. And yet I am the only one in this generation of my family to decide to join the military. Yeah, 4 brothers, know that, and they said, no, not for me, different routes, sports, high school, working, college, all of those choices they had. And my choice came down to avoiding a test in my, sophomore year of high school. I believe it was trigonometry. I avoided that test and instead elected to take the ASVAB, which is a test to test your aptitude for the military. I went to Woodland Hills High School here in Allegheny County in Pennsylvania.
Woody High!
Woody High! I was a cheerleader, I played basketball, I played volleyball, I played power puff football. I mean, I did it all. And at the end of the day, for my high school year, I did not do varsity cheerleading. I did not do any sports. I drilled at the Army Reserve Base in Oakdale, Pennsylvania. Okay. That's what I decided to do, right? I joined at 17 years old. I had a very powerful conversation with my mother and father about why I was going to do what I was going to do. Ultimately, they were in support. Everyone else is like, you crazy, honey, why would you do that? We can go to college, we can just go live our best life. And I said, hey, I want to set myself up for success because at the end of the day, nobody's going to give me anything. I have to earn it. And I knew the benefits in which the military could provide because my father is in fact a veteran. He did not use the services until he was in his 50s, and he ultimately is 100% veteran disabled. By the way, thank you, Agent Orange and Vietnam and all of those sacrifices. So we see them years later. Nonetheless, I decided to take that call, go behind my father, go behind my uncle who was in the Air Force, uncle who was also in the Navy and served honorably. And I signed up, and after high school, I graduated with cords and honors and all of that. And I did not pursue a scholarship. I did not go off to a freshman year and live in a dorm. I went and I lived basic training. If you have heard any, I could guess a whole nother story, y'all. But I survived. And I went on to be a transportation management coordinator where I was in Fort Eustis, and I did that training and was preparing to embark on my first career, whatever that was. Because mind you, I've been working since I was 16. Not only was I a high school student, I also had a part-time job, and I also was in the reserve. And then when I came back from my training, I enrolled in community college in Allegheny County. Why? Because I know that education is everything. My parents do not have a college degree, although they have a lot of education. Prior to that, my grandmother was in fact a teacher, and she had a master's degree. So nonetheless, that was important for me. It took me 5 years to get an associate's degree while in the military, working full-time. Criminal justice. I have an associate's degree in paralegal studies. Did that for a while. I want to fight, I want to go in, I want to be a lawyer. That's what I was driving for. And things changed. I ultimately got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and realized that that's where my passion lied. So, Point Park University, that's a walk-up university. I never had an opportunity to live into a dorm. I traveled, I commuted, I worked full-time, and I got my degrees. And I excelled, and I was on the dean's list every semester. Very well. Only thing I didn't do, I'm looking for a sponsor to pay for my master's degree because I dropped out twice, okay? I had some stuff going on in my life, okay? But with that education that I have, I am very proud. Also, decided to change gears and veer away from law, the practice of law, and go to law enforcement, and then understanding what that means inside of the criminal justice system. Why was that important to me? I have a disabled brother who has schizophrenia and had contact with the criminal justice system, and therefore he was not afforded the opportunities that people can have now, who have mental health. That's not recognized in the criminal justice system. It's not recognized in the ACJ or the SEIs. And then they did have state hospitals for mental health, and those are really no longer in place. So my passion comes to working with people who were previously incarcerated. I decided that I no longer wanted to work being in the jail. I wanted to work after. What now? What now when you get out of jail and you have a felony on your record, but you have a child and you want an education and you want to own a house and you want the American dream that everybody else seems to have so easily? Okay, so I work as a federal case manager for people who are coming out of federal prison, for women and men. Those are difficult population that I work with consistently. And my friends, they go, oh girl, you crazy. How could you work in an institution? How could you work in a halfway house? How could you work with these people? And I'm like, how do you draw blood, girl? That makes me want to faint looking at blood. Thank you for what you do, right? So here's my passion as a social service warrior, I would say. I went on to a career as a parole agent for the state of Pennsylvania, and I love that job. That was a goal, that was a huge milestone for me, and in one fell swoop, I'm no longer a parole agent. Circumstances which were out of my control happened to me, and it left me in the whirlwind. COVID also happened. A separation from my husband happened. Derailment of my family and my dream and everything that I thought that I needed to be a whole person was turned absolutely upside down, and I did not know what I was fixing to do. And one thing I was not fixing to do was ask nobody for no doggone help. Wasn't nobody going to hand me nothing. Wasn't nobody going to ask me, hey, can I help pay your rent? Can I do something for you while your husband is incarcerated? Can I do something to make you not be blacklisted from the state of Pennsylvania, although you're overqualified for a lot of stuff? But you know what? My brother met a lady named Amy Knight. She was not able to speak here today, but you would have loved her because she's a very nice lady. And my brother was selling furniture at Bob's Discount, and he met this lady, and he said, hey, Kristal, you're gonna have to pick yourself up from your bootstraps. You want some help? I met this lady. Here's a picture of her card to Veterans Leadership Program. I have referred veterans for 10 years to Veterans Leadership Program. People who were previously incarcerated. Anytime I had a